If you've been working in SAP for a few years, you know the system, you deliver your tasks, but somehow your career feels stuck. This video is for you because the most dangerous phase in an SAP career is not being a beginner. It's being comfortable and not realizing it. Kusa Duraklama. Today, I want to explain why many SAP consultants stop growing at mid-level, and more importantly, how you can move forward without burning everything down. Part 1. What mid-level really means in SAP. Mid-level in SAP doesn't mean you're weak. It usually means the opposite. You understand your module, can work independently, don't need constant guidance from the outside, everything looks fine. But internally, something changes. You're no longer learning fast. You're repeating patterns, and projects start to feel familiar. This is the phase where many SAP careers quietly slow down, not because of lack of skill, but because growth changes its shape at this point. Early on, growth is about learning what to do. Later, growth is about understanding why things are done. And that's where many people get stuck. Part 2. The comfort trap. Nobody warns you about. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most SAP consultants don't get stuck because they fail. They get stuck because they become reliable. They know the common issues, handle tickets smoothly, deliver exactly what's asked, and SAP systems love reliability. But comfort slowly removes pressure, and pressure is what forces development. At this stage, many people stop, questioning decisions, looking beyond their module, thinking about impact. They stay inside their scope, not because they're lazy, but because the system rewards predictability. This is how a temporary comfort zone turns into a long-term plateau. Part 3. The real difference between growing and stuck consultants. Two consultants can have the same experience, the same module, the same CV, but one grows and the other doesn't. The difference is not skill, it's how they think. A stuck consultant asks, "What do I need to configure?" A growing consultant asks, "What happens if we configure it this way?" They think about downstream impact, integrations, business consequences, future problems. Growth in SAP is not about doing more tasks. It's about thinking beyond tasks. That shift is subtle, yeah, but it changes everything. Part 4. Why pure technical skill stops being enough in SAP careers. At the beginning of an SAP career, technical skill feels like everything. If you know the system, if you can configure, if you can debug issues, if you can deliver what's asked, you grow fast. And for a long time, this logic works. But at mid-level, something quietly changes. And many people don't notice it until years later. The rules of growth are no longer the same. The early career illusion. Early on, SAP rewards learning speed. You learn transactions, configurations, tables, processes. Every new thing you learn creates visible progress. Better tasks, more trust, more responsibility. This creates an illusion. If I just keep learning more SAP, I'll keep growing. And that illusion holds until it doesn't. Because eventually, almost everyone around you knows enough SAP. At that point, knowledge stops being rare. The mid-level reality. Nobody explains. At mid-level, you enter a crowded space. Most people here understand their module, can work independently, deliver consistently from the system's perspective. They are solid. But here's the problem. When everyone can deliver, delivery no longer differentiates you. And this is where many SAP consultants unconsciously stall. They keep investing only in deeper configuration knowledge, more technical details, more edge cases. But the market no longer rewards depth alone at this stage. It rewards judgment. The shift from doing to deciding. This is the most important transition in SAP careers. Early growth equals doing correctly. Later growth equals deciding wisely. Senior SAP professionals are not valued because they know every transaction, remember every table. They are valued because they understand consequences, anticipate problems, reduce risk. They don't just ask, can this be done? They ask, should this be done this way? That difference is subtle, but it separates mid-level from senior thinking. Why execution-only profiles become replaceable? This part is uncomfortable but necessary. If your value comes only from executing tasks, closing tickets, configuring what others decided, then your role becomes easy to replace. Not because you're bad, but because execution scales. Another consultant can be trained. Another developer can be hired. Another resource can deliver tasks. What doesn't scale easily is context. Context is what senior people carry. They know why certain decisions were made years ago, what failed before, which shortcuts cause future problems. This kind of value doesn't come from skill alone. It comes from experience plus reflection. The role of judgment under pressure. At mid-level, many consultants avoid pressure without realizing it. They prefer clear tasks, defined scopes, stable expectations, and there's nothing wrong with that. But senior roles live in uncertainty. They deal with incomplete information, conflicting priorities, political pressure, time constraints. In these situations, technical skill helps, but judgment decides. That's why some people with fewer technical skills grow faster. They can operate under ambiguity. Why more knowledge is not the same as more value. Another trap mid-level consultants fall into is overaccumulation. They collect certificates, courses, niche skills, but they don't always convert knowledge into impact. Senior people are not walking encyclopedias. They are filters. They simplify complexity, reduce noise, focus teams. They know what not to do. That restraint is a skill, and it's rarely taught. The quiet mistake, avoiding responsibility. Many consultants think responsibility comes with title. In reality, responsibility is taken long before it's given. Mid-level stagnation often looks like, that's not my decision. That's outside my scope. Someone else will decide. These statements protect you short-term, but long-term, they keep you invisible. Senior roles emerge around people who take ownership mentally, think beyond tasks, care about outcomes. Not loudly, not aggressively, but consistently. Why this stage feels so confusing? Mid-level is confusing because you're no longer learning fast, but you're not stuck enough to panic. You're productive, you're busy, but growth feels flat. This is where many people mistakenly think, maybe I chose the wrong module. Most of the time, the module is not the problem. The mindset is. The real skill that unlocks the next level. The skill that unlocks seniority in SAP is not technical. It's situational awareness. The ability to understand where the project really stands, what matters now, what can wait, what will explode later. This skill grows only when you listen more, observe patterns, reflect on outcomes, not when you rush to do more. If you feel stuck at mid-level, ask yourself, am I still growing how I think? Or only growing what I know? Because SAP careers don't plateau due to lack of skill. Part 5. How to move forward without risking your career. Here's the part most people get wrong. They think growth requires a big move. New job, new company, new role, new title. Sometimes that's true, but in SAP, most meaningful growth happens quietly. Why drastic moves are often the wrong first step. When people feel stuck, they panic. They apply everywhere, chase higher titles, jump roles without clarity. This often creates short-term relief but long-term confusion. Because the root problem wasn't the role, it was direction. And changing jobs doesn't automatically change direction. Growth usually starts before recognition. In SAP, seniority is rarely announced. Nobody says, "From today, think like a senior." Instead, recognition follows behavior. People notice when you ask better questions, anticipate issues, understand trade-offs. Titles follow later. If you wait for permission to grow, you'll wait forever. The power of quiet expansion. The safest way to move forward is horizontal expansion. This means learning adjacent areas, understanding integrations, observing decision-making. You don't abandon your module, you enrich it with context. This makes you harder to replace, easier to trust, more valuable in discussions, and none of this requires a job change. Using projects as learning platforms, every SAP project is an ecosystem. Inside it, you can learn why scope changes happen, how priorities shift, how pressure is handled, but only if you pay attention. Most people focus only on their tasks. Growing consultants focus on patterns, decisions, consequences. They treat projects as classrooms, not just workloads. The questions that change your trajectory. At mid-level, the quality of your questions matters more than your answers. Instead of asking, "What should I configure?" ask, "Why are we choosing this approach?" What happens in phase 2? How will this scale? These questions change how others see you, not because you challenge authority, but because you show awareness. Learning from people, not just systems. Another underused growth lever is conversation. Talk to senior consultants, architects, project managers, not to copy them, but to understand what pressures they carry, how they think, what they regret. This builds mental models you can't learn from courses. Why you don't need to rush. SAP careers are long by nature. Systems stay for years. Companies don't reinvent everything annually. This gives you time, but time only helps if you use it intentionally. Moving slowly in the right direction beats moving fast in the wrong one. Redefining what progress looks like. Progress is not always promotion, salary, title. Sometimes progress is clearer thinking, stronger confidence, better judgment. These don't show immediately on your CV, but they compound. Senior SAP professionals are rarely flashy. They are calm, they see patterns, they make fewer mistakes. That's the result of years of quiet growth. The final shift that unlocks momentum. The most important shift is this. Stop asking, "How do I move up?" Start asking, "How do I become someone others rely on when things get unclear?" That mindset alone changes how you work, how you learn, how you're perceived. And once perception changes, opportunities follow. Key takeaway of Part 5. You don't escape mid-level by jumping. You escape it by thinking wider, calmer, and deeper. Growth in SAP is not loud. It's recognized slowly and rewarded steadily. Getting stuck doesn't mean you failed. It means you reached a stable point. But staying there forever is usually a choice, even if it doesn't feel like one. SAP careers are long. You have time. Just make sure you're not standing still while thinking you're moving forward. If you want a clearer way to think about SAP careers based on real projects, not hype, I've put everything together in one place. You'll find the link in the description,